Hello. So this is my random monster generator. If you've seen Monsters Inc., I'm basically making a bunch of Mike Wazowskis. First, I'll show it to you and just how it works. Um, so there's a generate random button, which generates a random guy. This guy doesn't have any eyes, so that's a little bad example. There you go. So it's a random number of arms, eyes, nose, mouth. There you go, nose and mouth. Some legs. Sometimes they have horns. There you go. Oh, that's a lot of horns. And you can also set amounts of what you want: 2 horns, 3 eyes, a mouth, two arms. How about 2 arms and 2 legs? That makes sense, right? And beautiful. So the placement of the arms is random. So these have been on the side, but there you go. Oh, he's waving. Also, the rotation is random, right? So there's horns. Everything is kind of placed within a certain face and is constrained to that face. So you won't see any of these creepy beady eyes on the sides or the back. And same with everything else. So you can also, I put in this button to clear on generate. So if you turn that off, it won't get rid of the old one. So you can kind of make a little crowd of friends to hang out with, and you can see each one. Oh, I like that guy. Is parented, or each one is its own parent. So you have in the hierarchy here, you've got all the generic stuff. And the generator is just this empty object with the script, which I'll talk about later. And each monster is its own object with its own, body, eyes, horns, mouth, legs. And those are, because they're parented, they can, like, the horns are all rescaled. Pretty straightforward. The hands face different directions, so that thumbs make sense because I cared about realism there. I'll go into the editor first before I go into the code. So I've got each body part is kind of its own prefab. So you got your legs, your arms, your they're turned around backwards just because of a dumb thing, but you can see they're all there. You got your beady eyes, and so what happens when I run the code is it instantiates in a random position, a random amount, or based on the slider, and sometimes with the horns, it's scaled, places it on this body, which is also randomized. And everything kind of has this gross skin texture. And I'm going to get into the code. I got to cut up the video here, but you're going to see me in code land right about now. So here I am in code land. First of all, I take all of the variables, and these are public, so you can plug in the sliders. This is the UI stuff. And then you take the prefab in a game object, and I also have a separate game object for the body, or for each kind of, the body prefab the body, the arm prefab the arm, so that you can modify the arm without modifying the prefab. Because I realized that was one of the troubles I had, was I accidentally messed with the body after I instantiated it, and it permanently rescaled the prefab itself, which, like, obviously I didn't want to do. So here's basically the whole thing is in this 60 lines method, which happens when the button is clicked. Not the whole thing. There's several functions called, but this is the meat of the functionality. So there's that if the clear toggle is on, then you destroy whatever monsters are already there. which was a kind of a cool feature, but it was super easy to just write one line of code. And I won't go line by line, but there's a color randomizer, which just changes the skin material color to whatever this random color is. The base functionality is kind of what you see in these like eye, horn, mouth. It's just a few lines for each thing because I have functions down here. So if the mouth toggle is on, it'll, on the click, right? That's what this function is, or this method. It instantiates a mouth based on that prefab in a random position on the face. And this is a function I wrote myself that I'll talk about in a sec. Parented to this monster object. So you can see they're all parented to that. So each one is its own monster object rather than just randomly populating the scene. So it keeps kind of a nice hierarchy. The arms you can see here are randomized between 0 and 1. If it's 1, it's on the right side. If it's 0, it's on the left side. And I'll kind of talk about this random position thing now. So the base monster body is a cube, and it's a cube that is about if from the center, each side of the cube is 1.85 unity units. So I think that's meters. So I can use that and say take a random number in between -1 and 1 times 1, and then scale it or pick a spot randomly and make that an X and a Y, and then depending on which side you're on of the cube, that's going to be constant. So like the nose is always going to be the same Z coordinate away because you don't want a nose sticking off the face or stuck inside the face. So you're only going to randomize the X and the Y. And so that's where you get these kind of the same lines here, but then everything else is randomized. So that's where you have up here, you can call with an argument this function random position, say it's on the face, and that means stick with the normal Z, but randomize just the X and the Y. And then we also have a random scale that applies to the body and the horns, and that's pretty straightforward. You have your height, width, and depth, and then you throw them all together in a vector 3. I could have just written that up there, but I thought it was easier and prettier if I had my little function for it. And this I didn't even end up using, or did I? Yeah. My bad. This thing earlier is my own function. I didn't realize that because I worded it like a Unity function words. It just takes a string, and in this case it's monster, and says look for that string and kill it, and that's what the clear button does. So it is a little more complicated than I thought. That's pretty much everything. So thank you for coming to my TED Talk on Mike Wazowski's. Love you. Bye.